In this episode, we're going to talk about three common fears that we find people have when it comes to creating video content. And we're going to give you some information to help dispel some of those fears right after this. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Watch Time. We're excited to do another episode here. And today's topic is really about dispelling some fears that we've come to realize a lot of people may have when it comes to marketing or video marketing specifically. And we just want to help to dispel some of those by providing maybe a little bit more information so you can be more knowledgeable when you're going into your next video project.
Yeah, very true. I guess anyone listening, really think about there are fears in any topic. Really, if you think about this, if you go out to buy a used car, you probably have fears about working with a used car salesman potentially. Everyone kind of has these fears. Or if you're having your house renovated, you may have fears that, like, what if somebody takes out a bearing wall and then all of a sudden my roof collapses? So there's always fears, and I think our industry is no different. And I think one of the number one fears that I think people really kind of focus on when it comes to creating not just video, but any marketing content is really, how do you know if your marketing content is effective? And I think that really resonates even with myself, because I know we create a lot of marketing content and we don't really know, like, all the time how effective it's been. So why don't we talk about this fear a little bit, maybe unpack like what we can tell clients about that, but then also, like, what we know from creating our own content.
So today we're going to go over three fears, and the first one is, kind of centers around, knowing that your video is effective. And I think this really comes down because it's an investment. Video is an investment, and just like you said, with if you're buying a car or doing work on your house, like, it's an investment too. So you want to know that your investment's going to be worth it. So kind of talking about some of the things that you know can ensure that your video is effective might make you a little bit more comfortable when you're making that investment.
Absolutely. And I think with the investment end of it too, for everyone listening, there's monetary investment, but also I know there's a time investment, which obviously time is money. So even for people that are DIY creating video, like, they may be thinking, like, is this worth my time? So kind of jumping into this a little bit and talking about, how do you track this investment of video and how do you actually know if it's effective? And I think the first thing to really understand here, it kind of is a throwback to our episode with Zangardi Studio, is the whole idea behind demand gen. And it is hard to see sometimes all of the results that you get from video, especially when you have it on your website. You can see visitors, you can see number of views on the video, but you don't really know who's viewing your video and who's visiting your website. So that's one thing. So part of this is kind of understanding that the content needs to be there. So you might not be able to track everything, but if you think about it like this, and I know I've mentioned this before on the podcast, if your store, if your website is your business's virtual storefront, well, your video is like your virtual salesperson. So if people come to your website and there's no salesperson there, then really all they're doing is just looking at everything and they're kind of like window shopping and leaving. So having that video there and having it on demand for people to be able to see customer testimonials, see overview videos, see product reviews, like, that needs to be there to help them make a better informed buying decision.
And the good thing is that we have a lot of tools today in marketing in general, to provide those analytics. So, you could use, Google Analytics on your website to see exactly how many people have been watching the video, or even like a video hosting platform to be able to see back end data there. Obviously, social media has a lot of tools to show impressions and, plays and all kinds of different analytics there, to demonstrate engagement. And then, of course, if you're able to make a direct tie between a sale and somebody saying, "Hey, I saw your video," that's important too. But the nice thing is there are a lot of tools out there that can show that people are engaging with your video, or at least seeing it, even if they don't like or comment on it directly.
And that's a good point too. I think having some type of process where you are bringing, like, when your intake process, when you're bringing clients in, really thinking about asking them, did you watch my video on my website? Did you see me on social media? I guess, prompted you to want to buy is a very important way to check effectiveness. And I mean, as anything else, whether it be video, whether it be photography, whether it be graphic design, anything that you're putting into your marketing process, marketing is a long-term investment. You really need to look at marketing as it's more of a planting crops and trying to grow them. So you're really gardening versus like sales, making sales calls, and I know a lot of people don't like cold calling or sales emails, but that's really more of like a hunting strategy and gathering strategy because you're going directly after somebody and trying to get an immediate response. So really think of your video as, I guess, being a tool that's for your marketing and not just for your marketing, because those tools could be used in sales as well. But that's one way to kind of see, is the video being effective? I know, like, I think of a story of a client that we had maybe a couple of years ago now, and she had a video that we created for her, and she used a link in her actual signature for her, yeah, for her email, and the client clicked on the link and then saw the video. And what was crazy is when I was talking to her about this, she had mentioned like it was one of the biggest clients that she had gotten, and they wasn't even like her email wasn't even to them regarding her business. It was something else. And
Yeah.
that client clicked it, watched the video, saw what she did, and then reached out to her and then booked her. And she was like, "It's the biggest client I've ever had." So you really don't know who's watching your video,
Yeah.
but that's where that demand gen really falls into place.
Right. It's a lot of little different things. It's not going to be like one golden nugget or silver bullet. But there's a lot of ways to kind of see how your video is working. And one thing too, just on the front end that we try to do to make sure that, when we are working with somebody to ensure that their video will be as effective as possible is that pre-production work, really getting down a discovery meeting and figuring out, what are your goals, what's your messaging, and what are you trying to accomplish, and really making sure that we include those messages into the video to make sure that it's targeted to the people you want to reach, and it's working as you want it to.
And one thing for you guys too, like working with another professional, and just I was kind of thinking about this as you're like going through this process, and we actually do this when we create content or we post things. I always try to think about any purchases we make or any content that we create, time that we're putting into it. What is the investment that we're making, and what would it take to get that investment back? And then what is the return beyond that? So, if you really think about this, like if you sell a service and your service is $2,000. If a client hires you, it's $2,000 for your service. You work with a video production company and you build a video for around $4,000. And you know that video is going to be up on your website and on your social media for be on your website for the next maybe 3 to 4 years. You'll use it on social media sporadically. Maybe there's a couple different versions of it, or you just keep resharing it. As long as you get 2 clients, you've covered the cost of that video. But that video is going to keep working for you beyond those 2 clients. So really, the return is something that's measurable over multiple years. So just think about that when you purchase not just videos, but new equipment. If you're purchasing other marketing materials, if you're hiring staff, what is it going to take to make that back? And what do I have to do to be able to do that?
That's such a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because it's a really easy way to think about, what do I need to get my return on the investment, and kind of put it in that perspective as well. So that's number one. So the other fear that we have, heard people may have is time commitment.
Yeah.
And I think there's some misconceptions about how much time it really you need to put in as a marketer, as a business owner, to make your video successful. Really, in our previous video, we talked about our process, and really, we try to do as much as the legwork as possible. So your time is really just an initial discovery meeting, which will probably have maybe like an hour. And then we want you to look over the pre-production plan and the shot plan. And then obviously the actual shoot day. And even there, we try to minimize your time as much as possible. And then reviewing the video afterwards, which is through a really easy link that we use. And that's about it. So really, we're handling all the editing and the planning, and we really just need you to sign off on things along the way.
Yeah, and I think that is something that I know I have heard from some different clients and even people like potential customers in the past is, they want to do video and they go, but I think we were even talking about this earlier. I want to wait till next year. You know, it's like January. I want to wait till
I
next
don't have the
year. I don't
time.
have the
Yeah.
time. And I definitely get that too. I
Sure.
think if you're not really sure on the process, there's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of people think that that time commitment is going to fall on them. And we really do try and make it as seamless as possible. And not to say like if you're listening and you're thinking, well, I want to be more involved in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to like, you know, give us more information or you want to like be there for the whole shoot day, that's perfectly fine. But we really try, as Kathy was saying, is minimize what we're doing with you because we understand that your time is money and we don't want to waste any of your time. And and you're already investing in this product. So that's just an additional investment on top of that.
The third one is very common, and a lot of people are so worried about being on camera. So, and I get it. I mean, I feel like it's not many people's favorite thing to do, but we do try to make it as easy as possible. Some of the things I think people worry about is obviously how they look.
Yeah.
And I think, just reassuring that if your hair's out of place or if you're doing something, a weird habit of shaking your foot or, something else with your hands, like we're going to point that out to you. We want you to look as great as possible, and we, are going to tell you if maybe there's some way to improve it.
Well, and one thing I think that's really notable about our company and what we do, and I don't know if other companies do this, but I know we specifically started doing this, is we don't often have a makeup artist. We don't have one on staff. We can hire one if one is needed. And there are times that it's great if you're doing a lot of stuff underneath the lights and there's a lot going on. You know, you want somebody that's going to maybe touch you up, touch your makeup up, remove some shine on your face and things like that. But it's not always necessary and it's not always in the budget. So we always make sure when we come to our shoots, we bring what's called like I don't really know if we have a name for it. It's almost like a touch-up bag.
Yeah, like a simple touch-up kit with oil blotting strips is a big thing because people are concerned about shine under the lights. Just maybe like hair brushes. We have a little mirror with lights. You could look at yourself if there's not like a restroom or something nearby.
We'll have hairspray in that kit. We have some water in case you don't want hairspray, but you still want to spray some water on your hair. We have a lint roller so we can remove lint from your jacket. Even going as far as having little like ghost strips. So if you do get a little stain on your jacket or your shirt, we can remove that stain so it doesn't show up in camera. And really, it's just trying to create an environment where you feel most comfortable in front of the camera. And I know look is definitely the first place that a lot of people go to, but I know beyond that, and I've heard this before from people whenever we're talking, I meet somebody and they go, oh, I like video, but I don't want to be on it because I don't sound natural, or I don't think I can speak to that subject that well. And I think, Kathy, what you do is really great because I've watched you get people to be like, you can interview people and get them to be at ease and really be their natural self.
The nice thing is like 98% of the video we do is not live. Like most of it is just recorded. And while it helps to be as smooth as possible, you don't have to get every single sentence perfect. We can edit that. We incorporate B-roll, like non-audio footage over your audio so that we can actually cut up some of your sentences and make some difference. We shoot with different cameras so we can change up the shot so that we can edit it. And we're going to take your best segments and, your strongest lines and, just really make you sound your best.
Oh yeah. Oftentimes we'll put together the final video and we have clients that'll say, wow, I sounded really good. I had no idea I even said that. And we go, well, you didn't really say that, but we were able to rearrange it enough and our editor's really good that we were able to kind of move things to get you to say what we needed you to say for this. But then I think part of that too is what's great about the interview style versus like talking directly to camera, which this is a very popular option, is to be interviewed. And Kathy is one of our people that do interviewing, and we have some other producers that interview as well. And everybody's just as skilled, but it's really where you're looking at that person and you're just having a conversation. They're just asking you questions, cameras off to the side. Yes, you may have some lights, kind of blaring down on you, but it's not that bad. We block some of it off. So this way it feels like you're just kind of sitting there with somebody and telling them your story or kind of giving them some information, educating a consumer. You name it, it's a very smooth back and forth.
Yeah, I do. I feel like it helps me sitting here right now, like having somebody to talk to. It's a natural conversation. And just remembering that, if you are selected to be on video, you're probably an expert in your field, and that's why you're being asked, to do it. And it's probably a lot of the same things you're already talking to customers about or your coworkers. It's just about delivering that on camera. So, yeah, I think the interview style does help a lot with that.
So remember, with something like this, like Kathy was saying, if you are an expert in your field, the next time you're hesitant about being on video, think about that sales call. Think about that, going home and telling your family member what you did that day. That's really what you're doing on camera. You already do it. The only difference is we're capturing it and we're going to use it in a video. So believe it or not, you're going to be more sure of yourself and more confident than you realize. And you just do it every day. The only difference is it just kind of gets in your head a little bit that you're sitting in front of a camera.
Yeah, exactly. And once you kind of get over that, most people do great. You don't have to be some kind of trained news anchor to be successful on video.
Absolutely. And I know these three fears are something that we really wanted to address. We know there are probably more fears out there, and we'll try and address those in some future episodes. But I think these three right now is if you're really concerned, about jumping in and creating a video, and it doesn't necessarily have to be with us, even doing video yourself, DIY, like, is it worth my time to do this? Like, or I'm scared of these things. These are all good points to consider. Pick up your phone, pick up the camera that you have at your office, contact a professional, hire a college student if you're still trying to find, some money to be able to do this and you want to have a little bit nicer of equipment. You can do this. There's fears, yes, but you can overcome these fears just by acknowledging these things and thinking about what we talked about today.
Yeah, and just doing what you said, just kind of trying to dive in and start learning just like anything else, and you'll become comfortable with it along the way.
Thanks for listening to Watch Time. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes.
And if you want your question answered on our podcast, go to flexmediacle.com/watchtime.